If you're wondering which cards from Duskmourn are the ones that players are really talking about, then today's video is something you're going to want to watch. Because in today's video, yes, we'll talk about the sealed product sales and how they're doing, but we're also going to be taking a look at some individual spoiler cards and what players are saying about these cards so you'll know where the value may be. Now that a lot of spoilers have been seen for Duskmourn, the debate is kind of up in the air about the artwork versus the cards and how players feel about the product. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel as we discuss Duskmourn today. Now, at the start of this video, we're going to be taking a look at the financial product lineup. We'll look at the cards in the second half. So you might want to skip ahead. You might want to find out how the sealed product is selling. You'll get to decide that. But let's start with the financials. So when you look at Duskmourn right now, I can tell you that this is being received on whole as a sealed product in a mediocre way. It's above Murders at Karlov Manor, but it's below stuff we saw at Thunder Junction. So it's somewhere in between those two. And that's a lot of appeal comes from the artwork, the story, as well as the mechanics of the game. And a lot of players are just not feeling a lot of the artwork. Parts of it are okay. Some people are really happy with some of it, but they're not overall digging everything. They're just digging individual cards. And that means that the singles market for this product is particularly high. It is not at the Bloomberg level, but it's higher than I would have expected after looking at the numbers of pre-orders and which cards are on wish lists, because smaller stores get things sold out pretty quick. Now, when we're looking at the products from the Nightmare Bundle, which is doing pretty good, the Commander decks, no problem. They're kind of on par with what I would have expected, which puts them below Bloomberg, but ahead of Thunder Junction, which is great. Especially the Vologoth guy. His Commander deck is like totally, it's way higher than I would have expected. Especially since you know the Commander decks will be around for quite a while. Now, when it comes to play booster boxes, they're above Murders at Karlov Manor, but they are below Thunder Junction. Collector boxes are starting to uptick, and that puts them somewhere around where Thunder Junction was. See, it comes down to the game. We can't just forget it's not all about the game nowadays. With so many Commander players enjoying various artworks and liking to bling out their decks, individual cards can just be sought after as a single, and the idea of buying whole boxes to make sure you get like untampered packs has really fallen to the wayside as an overall market demand. The uptick in pricing on this product lineup, which is like 5–10% higher, but because of that uptick in pricing, more players are put off by buying sealed product. They're just not doing it the way they used to do it. They're depending on stores and individuals on platforms like TCG Player to support their singles needs, okay? So when you look at that market space of where we used to be 5 years ago compared to now, it's not even the same planet anymore. It's entirely different. This whole stratosphere of product you see behind you right now in my backdrop, all these things, people don't do it like that anymore. Even myself, I stick to singles and I buy individual boxes like Bloomberg because I was so excited. But my money is better deployed by buying singles. Better yet, going to my reserve list collecting and picking up cards I've always wanted to buy. Remember that, guys. Not to mention that when you're trying to buy and sell into the secondary market, people want the top dollar, but they're paying you 50–60 cents on the dollar for cash, which means you just can't exchange the cards for the liquidity that you would hope to get, because that's what stores are demanding, right? And they got to run a business, guys, don't get me wrong, but that's the way the game is played, which doesn't really put it in favor of players buying boxes. It really does stick to the singles market. Now, when you're looking at bundle packs, they're a little bit lower than I would have expected. They're about 75% of where Bloomberg was, which is still higher than Thunder Junction, but I would have thought that seems to be the key point players can afford right now, is that kind of somewhere above the $70 mark, but below the $100 mark, which means bundle packs kind of fit in for players. And of course, we don't have any intro decks in this one with the two deck packs, so we don't know how those would have sold. They're not being offered in this product lineup. So remember that we've got play booster boxes are not doing that great. Collector boxes, meh. And of course, the Commander decks are doing fine, okay? Commander decks are actually above Thunder Junction, but well below Bloomberg, so keep that in your lineup. These products are going to be around for a couple of years, guys. There's no rush to go out and buy these things, and chances are there'll be some discount at some point if they've overprinted the product. Allocations are tighter. You can expect the market to kind of dry up after release, but about 90 days after that, you'll see new product coming to your store if they're asking for it. Remember, stores don't play the game the way they used to. They don't keep this stuff on their shelves infinitely because there's just no need. Wizards reprints things too much, or even the fear of reprints happening too often has stores sitting on the sideline from where they used to be for products. Now, we've got a few cards to look at today because it's not just the artwork of cards, it's also the mechanics. And when players are looking for cards, they don't just look at standard now. Does this card fit into modern, standard? Can I use it in Commander? Can I migrate it over to a different deck? Can I move things along? So it's not just the financial outlook of the card prices, but it's the playability of the cards and if I can use them for a number of years in a number of formats. So let's take a look at some cards today that a lot of players are talking about. And you guys can let me know in the comments section if these are cards you're discussing with your playgroup. So let's take a look at our first card, and this is Giggling Skitterspike. Now, of course, these are spoilers you've probably seen, but let's talk about what's going on with this. Number one, the card reminds me of that Toy Story creature card thing. The toy that was like been tortured and put together by that bully kid. Anyway, this thing's a 4 casting cost artifact creature toy. It's a 1/1. Now it does have whenever Giggling Skitterspike attacks, blocks, or becomes the target of a spell, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Now, of course, this is a commander card, so it fits in perfectly. It's from the Commander deck series. Now, it also has Monstrosity 5 for 5 that says, if this creature isn't monstrous, put 5 +1/+1 counters on it and it becomes monstrous. Not to mention you could double things over, triple things, find a way to target it and everyone's just basically going to die. This is a card to fear. It's a card to pay attention to. And because it's going to be a commander kind of staple, because of the fact it fits into any deck because it's basically colorless, guys, this kind of card is amazing. It may not be the most expensive card, but it's going to be a card that is going to be played in a lot of commander decks and it's something to focus on. And that artwork is very creepy and very cool, so it's going to draw a lot of attention. This card is going to be a card that people seek out, and that's why it's being talked about so much. Now, how do you guys feel about that card? These are the things we want to know. Now, for our next card, when you're looking at this is Cayenne, the Corrupted Memory. Very interesting. This thing's a 1 blue, 1 green, 2 generic, and it's a 2/2, again, commander card. Legendary creature, Illusion. Now, we haven't seen illusions that often in Magic, but they do appear. And it says, as long as Cayenne's power is even, you may cast non-creature spells as though they had flash, which is great. All your sorceries and stuff, you can just pop them out there. Amazing. Right? Now it says, as long as Cayenne's power is odd, you may cast creature spells as though they had flash. Now, this can work with also things we've seen in the past, other cards. So this kind of concept of a card like this is going to draw a lot of players in, because it also says whenever you draw a card, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on Cayenne. Now, when you think about all the creatures you can pop out, including Eldrazi, this is going to have a lot of abilities tied to it and a lot of people trying to experiment with the card. So I'll be curious to see how this one gets taken over and what players think about it about 6 months from now. These won't be the most expensive cards, but they're definitely cards that players want to play with. Now, our next card, the Shriekwood Devourer. This is a 7 casting cost, 5 generic, 2 green for a 7/5 trample Tree Folk. Tree Folk does have tribal, it does have an interest in players, and the more Tree Folk we see, the more this seems to become a thing, okay? It just gets a little bit better, a little bit, but anyway, there's more to this card. It says, whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures, untap up to X lands, where X is the greatest power among those creatures. This can be insane in certain decks when you want to untap things like your Gaia's Cradle, okay? You want to untap your Sarah's Sanctum. You want to find a way to untap some kind of legendary, brutal land that's going to do crazy, crazy things. This is an amazing card, and let's not forget, the casting cost isn't nearly as important as the ability. There's lots of ways to cheat these things onto the battlefield and bring them back, and that's what people focus on. The secondary powers, the mechanics inside the card that make it playable. I love this card, I love the idea of this card, and the fact it's also a Tree Folk can tie it into tribal themes later. Again, not the most expensive card, but it's going to see a lot of play. Now our next card, the Rite of the Moth. It reminds me of the Shieldred card that brings a creature card back from the graveyard and you gain life. It's that same kind of vein, except for this one has a finality counter on it. It says return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with the finality counter on it. If this creature with a finality counter dies, it gets exiled, okay? Then this card also has flashback, which is amazing. So you use it more than once. When you look at this card in Standard, you think about the big guys out there like Atraxa and stuff, being able to bring these things out and cause multiple game effects to happen because of a creature coming into play. This card's insane. As an uncommon, it's going to be played a lot, and you should pay attention to the card. The artwork also is actually pretty cool. I know a lot of players were mulling this over. I think it's not bad at all. Okay, this kind of artwork kind of grabs me. So it looks a little bit more creepy than some of the other stuff, like the skittering guy. That's kind of creepy to me. This one, I like the creepy aspect. I don't like the people who just look like they're from Ghostbusters. That bothers me. This stuff I like though, okay? Very cool. Now, in terms of value, it's probably going to be a $4 or $5 card, guys. It's something to keep an eye on, okay? Now, for our next card, you can see here, we have Nashi, okay? This is obviously some kind of rat guy. But it says here with Menace, each time Nashi deals damage to a player, mill as many cards. You can put any number of legendary cards and or enchantment cards among them into your hand. And if you don't, you put a +1/+1 counter on Nashi. So it gets bigger, you mill more cards, and you get to look at more things. It's kind of insane to think this is just a 2 casting cost guy. It is a rare. It's very interesting to see this card. And I think there's a lot of gameplay possibilities for this outside of just regular formats. You're going to have this guy in a lot of decks. He may not be the most expensive card, but cards like this draw attention. Their utility and versatility make them desirable cards for mill decks. And I'm surprised by how many mill options there are inside of this upcoming Duskmourn. Like, there's quite a few cards that are milling, so it's interesting. Now, the last card I want to share with you is going to be the Creeping Peeper. Now, this is a 1 blue, 1 generic, 2/1. It is an eye, which is funny, right? Creature eye. But I like this. It says, add 1 blue. Spend this mana only to cast an enchantment spell. Unlock a door or turn a permanent card face up. Now, let's be honest. The door mechanic's going to leave probably with this particular set when it rotates out. But the idea that this can add blue to a blue deck. You can actually have mana ramp inside of blue to cast enchantments. Well, there's lots of blue enchantments out there. There's a lot of reasons to have this kind of card in play, and not just in Standard, but in Commander as an early card to get out. This is pretty interesting. So I think this card's going to have longer, far-reaching gameplay. Even though it's only a common, it is going to see players wanting to use it because of what it can do for you, okay? As a 2 casting cost that can tap for mana to cast those enchantment spells, or if we have enough things with Manifest and stuff and Dread and all this to flip cards over, it's very cool. It's very cool. Not to mention, I guess, Illusionary Mask, right? Remember a good old Illusionary Mask? It's going to be curious. I want to see how this card comes out. I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. Now, we're breaking away here to the point that there's enough good cards in this set that players will be interested. But you notice I kept telling you the value may not be there. A lot of these cards are not going to be expensive, but also, like we saw with Bloomborough, with all the talents, a lot of these cards are probably not, they're not fully discovered yet until we see more gameplay happening. But the debate about the artwork and how the mechanics look on paper versus what players are actually buying, it really does tell you. People can debate this all they want on the subreddit groups, but it's the hard dollars. When you see people putting the pre-orders up, that's how much people are actually interested. Okay? Because they can't cancel it nowadays. A lot of stores won't let you cancel stuff out because they've already paid for the product and used your money to do it, because that's why they were ordering as much as they ordered. Guys, be ready for this. This might be a little bit more different than players realize. Some cards will be sought after. Some cards are likely to get bought out pretty quick, like we saw with the banner. So I hope you guys found this video informative. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with the Moxman today. And a reminder, if you enjoyed today's content, like and subscribe to the channel. I put out new content every single day, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow in another video. Have a great day. Shop smart, shop S-smart. See you later, guys. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to my fantastic patrons. Because of the patrons on this channel, daily uploaded content does get created for YouTube, and it's because of the patrons on this channel. So I want to take this moment to thank them each and every day for supporting my channel and my efforts here on YouTube. Thanks again to everyone. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, of course, and we're going to have more videos coming, so don't wait. Be there every day. Subscribe to the channel. Welcome back to the end of the video. Yes, the coffee is in hand. So, the question about my internet. That's what we're talking about today. This is it. Because the guy came over, and apparently 15 years ago, whenever they installed my internet, I've never looked down my basement, the cables there, but it was a splitter on top of a splitter, so it's double, like the little splicing splitter cables, and whoever installed it from Rogers just added it to a splitter, which added it to another splitter to get it upstairs, which means it was losing signal in between those transitions, which is why it kept dropping so often. Although there was a network outage in the neighborhood, that was that one time, this shouldn't have been happening. And out of all those phone calls I made in the last 5 weeks, 5 weeks of phone calls off and on, I think it's 14 phone calls, the person who diagnosed it on the phone the other day said this is a problem, and the guy came out and looked at it and said, well, look at all these splitters, this makes no sense. Who installed this? And I said, well, it wasn't me, it was you guys. And supposedly it's going to work. So at this point, we've been 4 hours with nothing dropped. But we'll have the live stream, which would have happened yesterday, because this video was Monday's video. I would have had the live stream, which will tell us how it all panned out. But I haven't had the live stream yet, because I'm filming this Sunday afternoon before the live stream. Man, it's like we're fast forwarding in time. I'm viewing myself in the past. We'll see how it goes. Guys, thanks a lot for hanging out. Let's hope things go well. I might still get the Bell internet as well. I might have both. It costs so much money, but the idea of like not having stable connections, I need it for the channel. You know what I'm talking about. We'll debate it tonight. You guys will tell me. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.